New Jersey was host to one of the state's most high-profile political debates in recent years for the U.S. Senate seat vacated by Bob Menendez. We saw Democrat Andy Kim and Republican Curtis Bashaw really get into the issues, but during the debate, Curtis Bashaw experienced a brief medical episode on stage. Let's take a look at what happened.
And I think that we need to make sure that we are dealing with affordability in a sensible way.
You okay? Are you okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to?
I think maybe we need to take a commercial break and address some issues here on the stage. Stay with us.
So joining us now is the debate moderator on New Jersey's Laura Jones. Laura, good morning.
Hey, Mike, good to see you both.
Good to see you too. How did you manage to keep control of that situation while ensuring the candidate's well-being?
Yeah, well, I was sitting in between the two, and I've got a lot of things going on myself. I'm trying to pay attention to the clock. I'm looking at the panelists. I'm listening to the control room, and trying to listen and absorb what the candidates are saying. And the candidates are nervous when they come on to a debate platform, no matter how experienced they are. This was Curtis's first debate. It was the first time Curtis Bashaw and Andy Kim had met each other. So there's certainly a lot of nerves. At first, I was thinking, oh, well, maybe he's just getting a little nervous or losing his train of thought. They had just, for context, they had just done their opening statements, and the first question went to Andy Kim, and it was about affordability. Andy Kim, way more experienced when it comes to debates, public speaking, because he's a three-term congressman, answered the question. Then it was over to Curtis Bashaw. So I'm thinking, oh, is he losing his train of thought? And then I'm starting to see him sweat. And then I'm seeing the podium start to move forward. So I'm thinking, oh, this is not good. Again, so many things going through my mind before even as I was observing. Andy Kim was boom, he was over there, immediately, luckily, got in front of that podium. So, Mr. Bashaw didn't fall over or completely knock himself over on the stage. So I just was taking a breath. That motherly instinct in me wants to jump up and go grab somebody, say, call 911, do this, that, the other. But as moderator, one, you want to respect the candidate. You don't know what is happening behind the scenes. Is he nervous? Is he dehydrated? Is there a medical issue going on? What I needed to do is I needed to get to a commercial break so we could figure out what was going on. So it kind of probably looked like, as I was looking to the side, we need to take a commercial break right now. And again, the way the layout was, you have a lot of moving pieces. You don't know what's happening. So thankfully the crew saw that. They went to the commercial break so we could address the issues on stage. And another thing I wanted to make sure is I didn't want to say, hey, we've got a medical issue. We had a situation on stage. And, that kind of comes from years of experience, trying to keep in mind, you don't know what is happening. You don't want to say anything that is incorrect. I don't want to say, oh, somebody's just nervous up here. Somebody locked their legs. Because you don't know. So years of experience, not of somebody, almost falling over in a debate, but you try to plan for the unexpected when it comes to live TV. And, when in doubt, cut to that commercial break.
Yeah, that's something you definitely cannot plan for. It's not on your bingo card, so to speak, when you're doing something like this. And you made that decision to take a brief break when the incident occurred. And you walked us through some of your thought process. I mean, what does it feel like to be in control of the situation and have to make that call in that moment?
Right. Well, I mean, the only thing I could do was, really kind of cut to the commercial break, so we could and also what was happening behind the scenes. Andy Kim walked over, you okay? You okay? And Curtis said, yeah. But I could tell, no, he was not in that moment. Andy Kim immediately went back to the podium because, again, this is live TV. We're, going to that break. His campaign staffers are coming up, to address, to make sure he's okay. His husband is there. His campaign advisors are there. And, my mind is thinking, somebody get this guy a protein bar, so somebody get him a soda or something. Again, I did not know what was happening in that moment. A number of people were getting up thinking, do we need to call 911? From what I understand, viewers started calling 911. And I think ambulances from 3 different fire companies showed up. So what happened is they took him off stage. So we've got 5-10 minutes of kind of silence. We had a live studio audience there. We had people. Our sponsors were there: AARP, NJEA. We had students from Rider University. We had our crew. We had our panelists there. So we had an auditorium full of people, and everybody stayed very quiet, very calm, very collected. And Andy Kim kind of stepped off to the side. Everybody was very concerned. People were trying not to overreact. They took Mr. Bashaw off to the side, got him, I think, a Coca-Cola. And my mind at this point is also thinking, okay, are we even going to be able to finish this debate? Because I didn't know myself how serious this was. But before I knew it, he came back on and he looked good. And he was able to say, that he was able to continue the debate. So we started back. I was, continuing to think, and definitely my radar was on, to make sure that I was paying really close attention to ensure that, he was okay.
And
and you know
Kim,
what?
as you said, went to.
Oh yeah,
Go
no,
ahead,
but I'm
Laura.
sorry. And we had to take another commercial break too, because the paramedics from 3 different townships showed up, and the first one on the scene, they couldn't leave until they evaluated him, even though his team had determined that he was okay. So we had to take another commercial break. So the audience didn't know all this is going on, and we've got people going back and forth trying to figure out what was going on. But again, you want to respect the candidates. You want to respect their personal issues, their any health issues, and continue on and not escalate and make yourself a part of the news. I wanted to make sure we weren't making ourselves a part of the news, and continue on as long as it was safe and the candidate was okay.
Sure. So, like you mentioned, so much happening behind the scenes. But from the viewer standpoint, they watched Andy Kim walk across the stage to check on Curtis Bashaw. From that moment forward, how did their interaction between the 2 candidates impact the overall tone of the debate moving forward?
Andy Kim was up and moving over before I had actually realized what was happening. Again, I saw that Curtis Bashaw was a little nervous going into the debate, but that's really quite typical. But man, Andy Kim, he was up there ensuring that he was okay, just as I was, seeing that the podium was literally falling forward. You couldn't see that from that camera angle shooting in, but he was holding it, and it was about to go over. So I was thinking, one, either Mr. Kim is going to have to make a decision to, forego the debate if he's not able to continue on. But he was able to come back. And then Curtis, said, I simply didn't eat enough and got all worked. No, he said, I got all worked up over the issue of affordability in the state, and continued the debate as if nothing had happened. So Andy Kim, Curtis Bashaw, they were able to continue the debate. It did not affect the tone. Everybody was concerned. However, when Mr. Bashaw made the decision to come back, it's like, I'm okay, I'm good. It did not affect the tone. The 2 of them had a really fiery exchange, a good exchange, a respectful exchange, but it did not, Andy Kim didn't decide, well, I'm going to go easy on this guy. Held his feet to the fire, and they had some really, really fiery exchanges.
And speaking of those exchanges, once that situation subsided, what were some of the issues that the candidates focused on?
Yeah, really. Well, they focused on a range of issues. We tried to cover as many topics as possible during the 90-minute debate, from national, international issues, Israel, the Middle East, Ukraine, affordability, LGBTQ issues. But really the big, most pointed exchanges, it was over abortion and immigration. Mr. Bashaw, Mr. Kim kept going back to Curtis Bashaw, the Republican, Andy Kim, the Democrat. Curtis Bashaw is a gay man, and if he were to win, he would become the first gay man, openly gay man, to become a U.S. senator in New Jersey. And he says he is pro-choice. And Andy Kim said, "Hey, I've fundamentally got a problem with you using that term pro-choice to describe yourself," because he talked about the impact of Dobbs and how that was the correct decision. So, Curtis really had to kind of explain himself and say, no, this is a state issue. But hey, I'm a gay man. I support a women's right to choose. And when Curtis Bashaw closed, his closing statements were directed. He said, closing statements are directed to the women and moms, which I found very interesting. So again, both candidates have similar issues about supporting a woman's right to choose. Just the way Curtis Bashaw says, I don't think the government has a right to say who I can marry. But Andy Kim was saying, I'm not buying it. I think that you're saying this to win votes over, more or less, in a nutshell. And they also clashed over immigration reform as well. Interesting, Curtis Bashaw, when he talks about immigration, he's like, there's a difference between the border crisis and immigration reform. But Andy Kim was not having that either.
And you are also moderating a congressional debate live Sunday night at 8 p.m. between Republican Tom Kean and Democrat Sue Altman. Can you tell us a little bit about this race?
Yeah, so that's the 7th congressional race in New Jersey, the central part of New Jersey. And that is the incumbent Tom Kean Jr. Is a first-term congressman. His father, if you recognize the name, former governor Tom Kean, he's being challenged by Democrat Sue Altman, and this is the race to watch. This is the one in the state of New Jersey, which kind of goes back and forth between the Republicans and Democrats. It continues to switch seats. It is right now, it is in a statistical tie. Sue Altman is gaining some momentum, especially among college-age women and unaffiliated voters. Tom Kean has actually taken a little criticism for avoiding debates, but we have them both coming on this weekend to debate. And certain people are really saying that this race is going to be a toss-up. So we're looking forward to that. We're going to try and get in a range of issues, a range of topics, and again, another 90-minute debate at 8 o'clock on New Jersey. We're working again with the New Jersey Globe and the Rebovich Institute for New Jersey Politics at Rider University. So it should be a great, great debate. And again, one of the things that we try to do is really serve our viewers. We're not about gotcha questions. We really want to get to content and hold the candidates, give them the opportunity to really explain who they are and what they stand for, because, we're stuck in between New York and Philadelphia markets. People are not necessarily paying attention to some of these races. It's hard to find information. So we want to make sure we're getting as much information out there as possible. And that is our job. And we're looking forward to that Sunday at 8 o'clock.
We're looking forward to seeing it. Laura Jones, host of New Jersey Politics, will be watching. Thank you for joining us on the New Jersey Morning Show.
Oh, good seeing you both.
Well, you can watch the congressional debate between Tom Kean and Sue Altman Sunday, October 13th at 8 p.m. live right here on New Jersey.